I still remember that morning like it was carved into the inside of my skull. The valley was quiet, too quiet. No radio chatter, no distant gunfire, no laughter from the village kids. Just silence. We were 5 minutes away from what should have been another routine patrol. Another day, another mission, another piece of dirt we were told to protect. The sun was barely rising, painting the sky with that pale Afghan light that made everything look almost peaceful. Almost. And then, I saw him. A small figure standing in the distance, a boy I'd seen 100 times before. He wasn't smiling this time. He wasn't waving. He was just standing there, motionless. And in his eyes, there was something I'll never forget. It wasn't fear, it wasn't anger, it was a warning. 5 seconds later, the world exploded. The shockwave threw me to the ground. Dust filled my lungs. The world spun, and for a few seconds there was nothing but ringing in my ears and the taste of sand in my mouth. That was the day everything changed. The day a boy who should have hated us saved my life. But why he did it, and what it cost him, that's the story I never told. Afghanistan has a way of swallowing time. Days blend into nights, nights into weeks, until you forget what month it is, or even what year. You start measuring time by missions, not calendars. I was part of a small unit stationed in the eastern mountains. Our job was simple on paper. Keep the roads clear, talk to locals, build trust, win hearts and minds, they said. But in a place where every handshake could hide a trigger, simple never really meant safe. The first time I saw Ali, he was chasing a ball made of cloth through the dust. He couldn't have been older than 12. Thin frame, sunburned face, eyes too big for his body, but full of life. He started showing up near our base almost every day, sometimes bringing fruit, sometimes just watching us work, curious about everything. When we handed out rations to the village, he'd help translate. His English was broken, but his smile was the kind that broke through language barriers. He'd ask questions about everything. Our radios, our patches, even our boots. We gave him chocolate once. The next day, he brought us tea. That's how it started. Small gestures. A trade between two worlds. He reminded us of home, of kids, brothers, cousins, people untouched by war. And in a place like that, even the smallest connection felt like gold. But trust in war is fragile, and sometimes it disappears overnight. It started with whispers, villagers avoiding eye contact, shops closing early. Even the dogs in the valley barked differently. Intel came down that a local group was planning something big, an IED attack somewhere along Route Phoenix, our main supply road. Command wanted eyes on the ground. We were the ones sent to find it. That morning, the air was heavy, like the mountains themselves were holding their breath. We moved slow, scanning every inch of the road, every shadow, every pile of rocks. And then I saw him again, Ali. He was standing by the roadside, that same cloth ball clutched in his hands. At first I smiled and waved, but he didn't move. He just looked at me, then down at the ground. Then he pointed, right toward a small stack of rocks near the road. I raised my hand, signaling the convoy to stop. We dismounted carefully, hearts pounding, and when I looked closer, I saw it. A wire, thin, almost invisible, snaking into the dirt. An IED. We called EOD, disarmed it, and cleared the area. If we'd driven just a few feet further, it would have taken us all. I turned around to thank him, but Ali was gone. The next day, his father came to the outpost. He was shaking. He said men came in the night, asking questions about the boy who talked to Americans. He didn't know where Ali was now, only that they took him. That night, I couldn't sleep. None of us could, because we knew what that meant. And in that valley, taken never meant safe. Days passed, then weeks. Every patrol, I looked for him. In the crowd, behind walls, in the shadows. But nothing, just silence. Then one evening, as the sun set behind the mountains, I saw a figure moving near the old well, limping. I raised my rifle, then froze. It was Ali, bruised, thin, exhausted, but alive. He didn't speak. He just handed me a torn piece of paper. On it, a hand-drawn map, rough lines, coordinates, a warning, another bomb, another ambush. He had escaped them, just to come back and warn us again. We moved that night. No headlights, no radio chatter. Just shadows moving through darker shadows. Halfway down the ravine, our comms went dead. A blackout zone. We were alone. That's when it happened. A single gunshot cracked through the night, then another, then chaos. Ambush. We scattered for cover, returning fire into the darkness. The valley lit up with flashes of light, gunfire bouncing off the cliffs. I was shouting coordinates, orders, anything to cut through the noise. And then I saw movement near the road. A small figure, running. Ali. He was shouting something, waving his arms. I couldn't hear him over the gunfire. He dropped to the ground and started digging, with his bare hands. That's when I realized. He found another bomb, still armed. I yelled for him to stop, to run. But before I could move, the explosion hit. The blast threw me backward. The air left my lungs. Everything went white. When I came to, there was smoke, dirt, silence, and pieces of cloth fluttering in the wind. He was gone. The fight ended minutes later. We survived. Because of him. But that night, victory felt like loss. Days later, the dust still clung to everything. Our gear, our boots, our hearts. But the weight we carried wasn't just from the desert. It was from him, from what he did. Command called it a successful mission. The official report said, local informant assisted in preventing an attack. But those words, they didn't mean anything. They didn't say who he was, or what he gave up. Weeks later, we helped his father move to another province. Before they left, the old man pressed something into my hand. It was Ali's scarf. For remember, he said, and I do, every day. Years later, I came home. Different world, different noise. But sometimes, when the wind hits just right, it sounds like that valley again. And I see his face, that look in his eyes, that warning that saved us all. People ask me what war teaches you. They expect words like honor, courage, duty, but the truth is simpler. War teaches you that humanity doesn't belong to any flag. It belongs to people. And sometimes, the bravest heart beats inside the smallest chest. So if you ever wonder what courage looks like, it's not in medals or parades. It's a boy standing in the dirt, knowing what's right, and doing it anyway. Real voices, real soldiers, real stories. Because some stories don't end with victory, they end with truth. Soft wind, distant echo of helicopter blades, fade to black. Text on screen. Dedicated to all civilians who risked everything for those they didn't have to save.